Jon, at the beginning of the book, you hammer the point of mediocrity.
The opening line of the book is that if you're aspiring to satisfy your customers, then you're aspiring to mediocrity. And it's a provocative line, but I truly believe that because study after study has shown that satisfied customers defect all the time. So if you're trying to derive competitive advantage, economic advantage, strategic advantage from the experience that you deliver, it's not enough to merely satisfy your customers. You need to impress them. You need to leave that indelible impression that forges memories that are going to drive the repurchase and referral behavior that's really the lifeblood of any business.
You also talk about the science aspect of it, this cognitive science perspective. Why is understanding that so important to understanding a great customer experience?
In my study of the companies that do this well, what I have found is that they all recognize that they're not just in the business of shaping customers' experiences, they're also in the business of shaping customers' memories. And that's where the cognitive science and the psychology comes in to really good, smart customer experience design. Because how people remember their experiences with your business is arguably more important than the experience itself. Because if you think about it, when one of your current customers is asked by a friend or a family member or a colleague, oh, hey, I remember you worked with company X for that need that you had. I've got the same need. What did you think of them? The next thing that's going to come out of your customer's mouth in response to that question is not going to be based on the experience they had with your company. It's going to be based on what they remember about that experience. And the way our brains are wired, those two things can actually be quite different. And that's why really using psychology and cognitive science to sculpt people's memories and perceptions is so critical to creating a great, memorable customer experience. One that people don't just enjoy in the moment, but they actually remember fondly long afterward.
You also talk about this concept of backstage and onstage in preparing and enabling these customer experiences. Give us a few examples.
Right. So I like to think of a great customer experience is like a beautifully choreographed performance. And the reason I like that analogy is because if you think about it, you want your audience, your customers or your employees, at the end of the experience that they go through, you want them to rise from their seats, applaud in admiration, shout bravo, shout more, and then by the time they eventually leave the theater, they can't wait to tell other people about the experience they just had. And that's why I like that analogy. And if you take that analogy a step further, there's really an onstage component to the experience, which is everything your customers can see, feel, hear, touch, and smell. And those are the things most people think about when they think about customer experience: websites, retail stores, live interactions, call centers. But then there's the backstage component, and the backstage component refers to everything that happens behind the curtain. The things that, while invisible to your customers, nevertheless exert a really powerful influence on the quality of the performance, the quality of the experience that your people can deliver to them. And so examples of backstage components are things like how you hire and select your employees, how you measure and reward them, how you onboard them, the tools and systems that you give them to do their job. If those things are not well designed, your customers will never see that stuff directly, but you could imagine how it could completely scuttle your effort to deliver a great differentiated customer experience if that backstage piece is not in order.